All right, 11.7, your last section. So after this, all that's left is your final review and then a final, right? You have a test for chapter 11 and all that stuff, but this is the last section you have to learn before you can take your final. Okay, so this is just dividing polynomials. Okay, so it's like taking that rational expression and actually dividing it into the denominator into the numerator. Okay, so when you want to divide a polynomial, so that means an expression with many terms, by a monomial, so an expression with one term, all you need to do is divide each term in the numerator by the single term in the denominator, okay, keeping the signs. So for example, if you have 9x squared plus 12x minus 18 divided by 3x. This is a polynomial in the numerator. It has many terms. Monomial in the denominator. It has a single term, okay? So what you need to do is take every term in the numerator and divide it by this. So I'm going to rewrite that and say that's 9x squared divided by 3x plus, because I'm going to keep the sign, 12x divided by 3x minus 18 divided by 3x. And then I'm going to simplify each part, okay? So 9 divided by 3 is 3. X squared divided by x is x plus 12x divided by 3x. The x's cancel. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, the x can't cancel, so I'm going to have an x in the denominator. But then 18 divided by 3 is 6. So I get 6 in the numerator. So I get 3x plus 4 minus 6 over x. Okay, so when it's a single term in the denominator, just divide every term in the numerator by that single term. Okay, when you want to divide a polynomial, so many terms, by a binomial, so meaning 2 terms in your denominator, first you need to check if the numerator and the denominator have common factors. So try to factor this numerator, right, into like x plus 1 times x minus 2, right? That would be factoring. You spent a whole, actually a whole chapter on factoring polynomials, okay? If they don't have common factors, then you're going to use long division. Okay, if they do have common factors, divide those out first. Okay, so recall long division, right? So let's use numbers. If I want to take 435 and divide that by 18. Okay, yes, now you use your calculators, but I don't want you to do that. Right, so long division, you'd put 18 out here, 435 under the division bar. Then you would start and say, okay, how many times does 18 go into 4? It doesn't. So how many times does 18 go into 43? It goes twice. So the 2 goes above the 3. Then you would do 2 times 18 and subtract it. So 43 minus 36 is 9. Okay, no. I want this to be 453, not 435. Okay, then it's 9. Okay, then you would bring down the 3. And you'd say, okay, how many times does 18 go into 93? Well, it goes into 93 5 times. So 5 times 18 is 90. Then you would subtract. Okay? Then we did learn we would put the decimal point and put a 0 and keep going. But if I want this as a fraction answer, right, I would say, okay, I now end up with 25. Our remainder was 3. Then you would take that remainder and put it over what you divided by. So you'd get 25 and 3 over 18, and then reduce that fraction. So you'd get 25 and 1/6. So the remainder goes over what you divided by. Okay? So dividing polynomials is going to work very close to the same way. Okay? So, using long division. All right. So we're going to take 3x squared plus 7x minus 12. And we're going to divide that entire polynomial by x plus 3. Okay? So you have to set up your division. This first polynomial goes under your division bar. So we're going to get 3x squared plus 7x minus 12. And then this is going to go on the outside. Okay. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take just this first term, okay, and see, because it needs to be in standard form. Okay, see how many times this goes into this first term. So we're going to do 3x squared, because that's the first term here, divided by x. And you get 3x. So 3x is going to go here. Then it's always subtraction, and you're going to subtract the product. So 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 3 is 9x. And subtract this. So 3x squared minus 3x squared is 0. 7x minus 9x is negative 2x. And then you bring down the constant, so minus 12. Okay? Then do it again. So how many times does x go into negative 2x? So think negative 2x divided by x. What do you get? Well, you get negative 2. So then we put minus 2 up here. You're subtracting the product. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. So negative 2x minus negative 2 is 0. Negative 12 minus negative 6 is negative 6. Okay? Then x is not going to go into negative 6, right? Negative 6 divided by x you can't do. So this is your remainder. Okay? So then what you do with your remainder is the same as you did with long division. So this is what you get. You get 3x minus 2. Then you put your remainder over what you divided by. So minus 6 over x plus 3. And we just divided the two polynomials. Okay? All right. So make sure they're written in standard form and then use long division. All right, how about 5n squared plus 2 divided by n plus 1? Okay, again, this is going to go under the radical, or under the division, not the radical. It needs to be in standard form with every term accounted for. So our highest degree is a square. So that goes first. So we get 5n squared. Then the terms with an n. Do I have any terms with n? I don't, so I'm going to add 0n. It's like our placeholder. Then plus 2. And then this goes on the outside, so n plus 1. Okay, same steps. So do 5n squared, the first term, divided by the first term. So 5n squared divided by n is 5n. Then we subtract the product. So 5n times n is 5n squared. 5n times 1 is 5n. So you get 5n squared minus 5n squared is 0. 0n minus 5n is negative 5n. And you bring down your 2. Okay? Then the first term divided by the first term. So we're going to do negative 5n divided by n. We get negative 5. Then subtract the product. So negative 5 times n is negative 5n. Negative 5 times 1 is minus 5. So negative 5n minus negative 5n is 0. 2 minus negative 5 is 7. Okay? Then keep going. So can 7 be divided by n? It can't, so this is your remainder. Okay? Then write it out like we would write out division. So we end up with our answer is 5n minus 5 plus the remainder over the divisor. So plus 7 over n plus 1. Okay? All right. So that is dividing polynomials. Write them in standard form and then perform long division like you do with numbers. Okay? Think it's the first term divided by the first term. Subtract. First term divided by first term. Subtract. Until you get something that won't work. And then the division is done, and that last one would be your remainder.